Welcome to our DaVinci Resolve 17 tutorial for beginners. So in today's video, I'll walk you through all the basics of how to use DaVinci Resolve, from downloading the software to exporting your first edited video. The thing is, DaVinci Resolve isn't the easiest software to use, but it's one of the most powerful, and you can do almost everything you would want with just the free version. If you have no time to learn about video editing and you need to do something quick, you might want to use something like Filmora or iMovie. But if you're willing to invest the time, and after going through this tutorial, you know quite a bit as well, you'll be on your way to editing great videos with DaVinci Resolve. If you want to know more about anything we talk about today, I'll put links down below in the description. With that said, let's hop on the computer and get started. Okay, so here we are at the DaVinci Resolve website. If you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see a download now button. And then from now, you want to download DaVinci Resolve 17. The studio version is the paid version, and the one that doesn't say studio is the free version. I'd recommend using DaVinci Resolve 17, the newest version of the software, and then you could download it for Mac, Windows, or Linux. I've already downloaded it on my Mac computer, but after you go through those steps, download the software and get it opened up, you'll be able to follow along with the rest of the tutorial. Then now let's open up the software. Okay, so it's gonna look something like this when you get started. You're gonna have all of your different projects. To open up a new project, just click on the new project button right here and give it a name. DaVinci tutorial video, create. And then you're gonna see it's gonna open up on the cut page first. The thing you're gonna notice with DaVinci Resolve, it's essentially designed for moving from the tabs left to right. So the very first tab is the media tab. So you're gonna see any media files that you add. From there, you have the cut tab where you can essentially cut out the particular clips that you want to use in your video. Although I don't use that tab all that much, I end up doing almost everything within the edit tab, which is the next tab right here. Then you have the Fusion tab where you do a lot of the animation. So something like After Effects for Adobe is essentially what the Fusion tab does. The color grading is essentially where the color tab, you can do all the color grading and adjustments to the color of your videos. Fairlight is an advanced audio editing software. And then when you're done editing everything, you can go to the Deliver tab to export the final version of the video. So with that said, what I would do is go to the Edit tab, and then you're gonna see along the side here, you see no clips in Media Pool. And so for me, what I end up normally doing is just dragging and dropping the files that I wanna use into the software. So if these are all the things we wanna use today, I can drag those. So you can see it's gonna ask me change project frame rate. So basically, I think it was probably set up as a default for 24 frames per second. These videos are in 30 frames per second, so it's gonna update that for me. So I can click on change. You can see that they're all added like so. And so you can add them to the timeline in a bunch of different ways. So I can just select it here, drag and drop on the timeline. Anything you wanna undo, you can hit Command Z. So I could also highlight a couple things to include and do the same thing. The other thing is if you double click anything, it essentially shows up in this preview window. So what you can do here is essentially find the section you want to include in the timeline. So you have less editing to do once it's there. You can hit the space bar to let it start playing, then or to stop. Then you can hit the I to start where you want to include, and then O for the out, the end of the clip that you want to use. So if I let it play, I hit I, and then O. Okay, so you see the selection I have right here. And so I can drag and drop this to the timeline. If I click here, it's only gonna add the video. Here only adds the audio. Again, up here, I can add the entire thing like so. And then let's say I wanna add this entire video clip. So I could add this to the end. The thing is that what I wanted to actually do is this should be in the opposite order. So if I select this like so, you can essentially have it interrupt and kind of go over top of a specific section. You can add it kind of as another video layer, or you can see here, this is essentially how you can move stuff around on the timeline. So let's add it to the end like so. But then what you're gonna notice here is, hey, there's a couple of seconds of the video and there's actually nothing there. So you can highlight that section and hit backspace or delete, and now you're all set to go with this. If you wanna zoom in at any point, you can essentially click on the plus or minus here. So this would take you from zoomed in to seeing the entire timeline. So if we zoom in a little bit, you can see right here is there's a little bit before me turning on the camera. So what I could do here is I could just drag in the end to start right here. But the thing is, again, there's a space, so select that, hit delete. Then the next thing you might want to look at is where are the parts where maybe I'm taking a deep breath, and essentially go through the entire video once and just cut out all the pieces you don't want. So what you could do here, this is essentially the selection tool. And then you have a bunch of different ways to trim the clips. What I end up using in a lot of cases is the blade. So you notice beside any of the titles, it gives you the shortcut. So B is for blade, and then the selection tool is A. So now you can see red, I have the selection tool. If I hit B right now I have the blade tool. And so now everywhere I click is going to cut different sections. So I could essentially start cutting clips like here. Here's another breath I want to cut out. And then I essentially go through the entire clip or the entire video and do that. If I want to start selecting stuff to get rid of, I want to hit A again to go back to the selection tool. The thing is, if I just click on this and hit delete or backspace, it leaves this space there. I could then click again here, hit delete, and it closes the gap. Again, if I hit Control Z, it puts it back. But if I hit Shift and delete now, after selecting that, it's going to essentially do a ripple cut. So it deletes it and moves the other clips to meet up with the previous clip. So Shift delete. And then there's another way that you could do this where essentially, let's say we hit B, cut right here. And if I hit A, so if I was going through this clip and then I knew actually what I said at the end from this point right here to the end of the clip, I did not want the rest of it. If I hit Shift Command and right bracket, it's going to delete what's left of the playhead. And if I hit Shift Command left bracket, it's going to delete the left side. So it'll delete from this point to here or from this point to here. So now if I hit Shift Command right bracket, that whole section is gone and it pulled up the next section. Essentially, I would go through the entire video once and clean up all the parts that you don't want. Okay, so after finishing going through and editing down this clip, let's just to make this video a little bit shorter. Let's say played here. Then hit Shift Delete. Okay, so here, let's say this is the entire video. Okay, so I found the point where I want to essentially cut the video clip. So seeing this part, at the end of the video clip, I essentially made a mistake here. And so what I want to do is, I would find the point where I can cut and then where I repeated this section. So if I go back to blade tool, cut here, and then go back to A. Okay, so I have the marker now. So then I would need to go to essentially here, and then I hit B, and then trim this part. A, select, Shift, delete. Okay. And so here's essentially where I want the next clip to start. So again, if I hit Command, Shift, right bracket, it's going to delete all the stuff after it. And then you can see here, that's the part where the view from over my shoulder. So if we just back up a little bit. So I needed to zoom in a bit and trim that right before I open the pen. So I think that's going to be about right here. Again, Shift Command right. Okay, so I think that's essentially how you'd go through and trim up all the pieces. And now I have something that makes sense from beginning to end. Now it's a matter of adding stuff onto it from there. So let's say I wanted to add some B-roll. So if I zoom all the way back out again, and say at a certain point, I was talking about the animals that are outside my window. So there's some deer and turkey that come by and visit me. And so let's say I wanted to, add that clip here. And then, I could trim that down if I wanted to say, hey, I only want, this section to be showing essentially. So there's a couple of things that I could do here. One is, so this is just the video 2 is going to be on top of video 1. So what's going to happen right here? So it's going to switch from me speaking to transition completely to the other video. And so what I could do here, so I could zoom in a little bit. If I wanted to fade into it, I could essentially grab the corner and have it fade in like so. So now if I click here, what you're going to see, there's a slight couple frame. So let's see that 22 frames now. So you're going to see now that it slowly fades in. The other thing that I wanted, if I wanted to do here, is for some reason if I wanted this to be not full screen, so like picture in picture, we have a video playing up above, you can essentially, so it's set on transform. And then the thing is, I can essentially grab the corners and shrink it down. And what do you know? The video of me is behind it still playing. So I could have my little deer and turkey friends right here playing that will still have the fade in that we already set up, but now something like that. So that's one way how you can either add B-roll, so what's happening as you're talking and you say, hey, I'm writing my book, or I'm writing a blog post, and you switch to, you know, an overhead shot of you typing, so you still have the audio and everything, but you're changing the camera angles. You would essentially add it like so, and then I showed you also how you can change it to picture in picture. So for this tutorial video, it's going to be the opposite of that, where we have the full screen of the computer and the smaller screen is me talking that you're seeing right now. If we actually decided we did not want that, one other thing that we may want to have is adding an image. So let's say I want to go through and add, say we're talking about this video and I want to mention the thumbnail of another video. So I could do that, I could go to the create channel thumbnail. And then so if I wanted to add that to the timeline, essentially the same thing. So again, I probably want to zoom out a little bit. And, you know, I don't need this to be on screen so long. And so what you're going to see here again, this is taking up the whole screen. But if this is on, what you see, there's different options here. If it's on transform and it's selected, you can see this would essentially rotate it. If you drag right here, if you just grab one of the corners, you're going to shrink the size. So, you know, if I want to mention the how to create your channel on your phone video, we can have it come on screen like so. Let's say I want to add a sound effect, like a pop sound when it comes on. And so I have this champagne sound, pop sound, champagne bottle opening pop. Okay, so now what I want to do is make sure, so this image and the pop sound line up when this image comes on screen. So what I want to do is zoom in a little further to make sure that the alignment makes sense. So here's where it comes on. You can see the sound is slightly before. So I would probably want it to be something like that. So now if we let this play, let's go back here. Yeah, so you hear the pop sound right when the image comes on screen. So another thing you might want to add is music. So we end up using Epidemic Sound for all of our music and sound effects. You can use the YouTube audio library if you're looking for something free, but there's thousands of amazing songs and sound effects on Epidemic Sound. If you're interested in checking out, I'll put a link down below in the description. But so I have this rainy Sunday clip. It is Sunday today when I'm recording, and it was raining earlier. So I can add audio track number 3 like so. On the bottom. Okay, so now we have the third audio track. So now we have music, we have sound effects, and we have the audio. So now an important thing to take a look at is the audio levels. So the thing is here is obviously a tutorial video, let's say, maybe there's a very slight music in the background, but you don't want it to be overpowering where the music is so loud that you can't hear me. So it's something you want to go through each of the things individually to make sure the audio is loud enough. So one of the things, if you add this mixer right here, so if you go up to the workspace, and then you can see right here, there's show panel in workspace, and you see mixer. So if I unclick that, it disappears. So the great thing with DaVinci Resolve, there's a lot of different screens here, but you can customize it to show the things that you're actually going to use. So again, if I go back to show panel and workspace, mixer, you can essentially see the audio levels, you know, as the video is playing. And so you want to make sure that essentially you're at the higher points, you don't go above 0 decibels, and probably somewhere in the 3 to 6 range at higher points. And so there's a couple things you can adjust an entire audio track. So track 1, track 2, or track 3 where the music is, or you can go into individual clips. So what I could do here, let's actually go where we can see the entire audio all at once, and you have a better view of what this looks like. So for audio 1 right now, if I wanted to say, if I could either, when you see the arrows like this, you can increase or decrease. And so you can see if you start to go too loud, it starts to just smash against the top, and that means you're definitely going over, you know, the maximum loudness that you can have in the videos. So let's say something like that probably looks about right. So maybe a little bit louder than where I recorded it at. And so you can go through that for each of the different things. So the thing here, as an example for the music, you can see that, you know, if we play the music right here as an example, you're going to see that it overpowers my voice. So that doesn't quite work. And so what you're going to want to do here, obviously, you could either, you know, go in here and lower this by 20 decibels or something along that range, or you can just come in here and see, all right, if I go to something like that, maybe. Let's see.
So not only in game, but just what you don't.
It's still a little bit loud. So I would probably, again, come in here and go to something like that.
See people doing behind the scenes every single.
Yeah, so I think that sounds good. You can faintly hear the music, but you can still hear me talking. So I think that makes sense for the audio levels. So what I mentioned before, Fusion is for somewhat advanced kind of animations. It's really, really powerful. For this, I'm not going to get into a ton in this tutorial, but I recommend you check out our subscribe button animation video that walks you through step-by-step how to create this animation right here. I think it's on this side. And also I created this animation button using DaVinci Resolve that took maybe an hour or more to do, but you can see it has our logo, has our name. It has the subscribe button being clicked on, has the bell notification being clicked. If you're interested in learning how to create the more advanced one, write advanced animation down below in the comments, and I'd happily do a video on the topic. With that said, if you don't want to do animations, let's say, I can actually show you how to use a blue screen, which is essentially what I created and shared with people in that other tutorial. So here you can see we added another video clip. Let's zoom in on the timeline. So you can see again, I added another video level, and the thing is, it is over top of me speaking now. So you can see that the subscribe button comes up on screen. It clicks to changes to subscribed. The thing is here, let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, is what I want to do with this is there's a way to simply get rid of the blue or green screen. And so what you need to do here is, we're not going to get into this a lot in this video, but it's in the effects library. So in the effects library, you want to go to OpenFX, and then you scroll down to where it says 3D Keyer. And so if I take that on top of this clip, so the first step is this right here is the transform option. I want to go to OpenFX overlay. I know this sounds complicated, but just follow along. OpenFX overlay. And then from there, I want to go into inspector. So from there, I have this color selected. And what I can do now is I just make a little drawing like so, and it essentially selected that color and we got rid of it. So what we can do now with that being done is we could close the inspector, and then we could change this back to just the normal version of it. Okay, so now let's see what it looks like. So that is how you easily get rid of a green or blue screen within DaVinci Resolve. The next thing I want to show you is how to create text. So let's say at the very beginning of the video, let's zoom back out again, right? Say here, I want to have my name come up. So what you can do here is, again, all the stuff up here, if you don't want it on screen, you can just click on and off. So you can customize what you need to look at. So what you can see here is the title section. So then the title section, so Fusion again gets into more advanced animations, but what we want here is just some basic text. So if I say maybe a left lower third is probably what I would include for, say, my name. So here's the sample text. So I can click on this. Again, the same with everything else. If you want to edit something, you can then click here and then go to inspector. And what do you know, we have here is the title. So Jeff Thalen. So I have Open Sans bold, the size, maybe I want to make it so I can drag it slightly larger. So I can make it really big. Let's see, 68, let's say. And then if I scroll down further, you're going to see, so you saw here was rich text title, and then here's the rich text for sample. So co-founder. And then maybe this one I want to be quite a bit smaller. So something like that. And then if I want to go back up here, let's see if I can do a little bit of line spacing. And then you can see now the J isn't over top of the fig code. So something like that. And the thing is, again, so let's close in the inspector. And then if I want to zoom in slightly and say, okay, maybe I want this, you know, how long do I want it on screen for? So maybe something like that. And then again, if you can see if I want it to fade in or fade out, you know, I can make those changes like so. Okay, and then so one last thing for the video, which would be the transition to the end. So if out here I wanted to add a transition, what we could do is now, so we see up alongside here, we added a title, and then up above you see video transition. So if we wanted to add the cross dissolve, we would basically highlight it and then add it on top of the video clip that we wanted. And then from here, right? And so it's going to look something like that. And so here you can see the cross dissolve. So it highlights the two different sections. And so what I could do here, so I have the cross dissolve highlighted. Again, if I go up into inspector, cross dissolve. So right now it is cross dissolving over 1 second. If I wanted to shorten that, you can see if I only want it to be 0.4 seconds, it's going to look like, let's go from here, something like that. So that's essentially how you can go and add transitions. I would say with transitions, not to use a ton, and the simpler, the better. If you're watching this tutorial because you want to create better videos for YouTube and grow your channel, we have a masterclass you might be interested in. It's a free 1-hour training to help you grow on YouTube in 2021. If you're interested in signing up, I'll put a link down below in the description. The very last thing that we want to do with this video is the color. So this is one of the things where DaVinci Resolve shines. Honestly, they use this for movies and all sorts of crazy production. So there's a lot going on here right now. So what you want to do here, what you basically have is along the side here, this is the low end of the colors, kind of the mids, the highs, and this is the overall lighting of the video. Along the side here, you have different scope. So Parade shows red, green, and blue. You can look at the waveform, vector scope, histogram, just a normal waveform like so. So basically, to take a look at this, what you're going to see is generally with your videos, with colors and with just the lighting in general, you're going to want the brightest things to be up near the top, and then not a bunch of stuff kind of smashed at 0. That means that you're not getting the proper color of things because it's basically making too many things black. So what you're going to want to do here essentially is, you can see also the brightest things aren't super bright, and there's not a lot essentially in the middle. So how we could essentially adjust this is, so the gain are the brightest things. So if we go down here to this little dial and we move this up, so something like that, now you can see, and this is basically horizontally in the video. So you can see along the side here is kind of dark. The white is in the middle of the screen. So you can see the white is almost near the top brightness now. So that was the gain. So to make sure that the whites where they should be, so maybe something like that. And then you can see the darker colors also are smashed against the bottom. So what if we bring that up a little bit? Bring that up just maybe. Actually, no, what I would say is we can probably leave the darkest things where they are. The blacks are black, so you don't have to worry about that. But then everything in the middle could also be brought up a little bit. So if I bring up kind of the mid-tones a bit, you can see now, you know, all the kind of middle of the line colors are a little bit brighter. So you can actually see the texture on my desk now, where if this is at essentially 0, what you're going to see, you know, nowhere near as much. If bouncing this up to 6 there, something like that. So that's kind of what I would do. The other thing you can do is if you want to move the exposure of the entire of everything, you can essentially adjust it right here. And then the other main things would be the saturation. So if that's at 0, you're going to have black and white. And if it's at 100, there's too much color. So something in the middle, but if you wanted like a little bit more color, you could increase the saturation. The contrast is another thing to move here as well. So you could slightly see what happens if I add a little bit of contrast potentially. And if you want to see the before and after, you have this little button right here and it says bypass color grade and fusion effects. So we can click, so here's what it looked like before. Here's what it looked like now. So with just a little bit of work, you can make a pretty big difference. So the thing is also with, you know, the video clips of me speaking, you could say it's kind of the same thing. So you can see there's a little bit of color in the middle and not a lot on the rest of it. And it's pretty far along the bottom. So again, the really dark things on screen probably don't need to be darker or lighter, like they're already down there. But probably some of the things that are bright could maybe be brought up a little bit like that. And then maybe some of the mid-range could be increased slightly as well. So let's look at the before and after. So if you're interested in learning more about color grading with DaVinci Resolve, write color grading down below in the comment section, and I gladly do another video. As I learn more and more how to use it, I'd love to share everything that I learned with all of you. So obviously all the other clips of me are with the exact same lighting because I just basically cut them up into different sections. So a smarter thing might have been to actually do this all at the beginning and color grade that one clip, but I didn't do it that way. But I'm going to show you how you can actually apply what I did to one of the clips to all of them. Okay, and so what I can do here, so if I have this node, I can just hit Command C. And then if I click on this other video, I can just hit Command V, and it applied the exact same things. So you can see here, this one has not been applied yet, Command V. Let's paste it here. And so I could just go through all of these, and within just, you know, I could go through, so there's 2 more, Command V, Command V. Okay, so now I applied the same color grading across all of those clips and color graded this one as well. I think we're done with the video. So the last step is the delivery. So if we click on the delivery tab, you're going to see something that looks like this. So there's all these fancy custom settings for exporting that I'm not smart enough to figure out yet. But the good thing is they're going to help you if you're exporting for YouTube, Vimeo, or, you know, other different platforms. You can see that up along the top. So this would be a video for YouTube. So I can just click on YouTube 1080p, untitled, say DaVinci tutorial video test or video. And then you can see resolution 1080p, frame rate. Do I want maybe not QuickTime? How about MP4? And that's file name, location. So where do I want it to be saved? So let's say I want this in the downloads folder. So I can save that. So it's going to save to downloads. And then if all those settings are good, you click on add to render queue. That doesn't export your video yet. You can see it comes up as a job. So if you created 10 different videos and wanted to export all of them, they would all show up here. And then you can essentially go to render all. And you can see actually the video that I recorded was in 4K. And so it's converting it to 1080p and exporting a however many, 10-minute long video or however long all these clips were. So that is going to take a couple of minutes. All right, so what do you think? Are you ready to edit your first video with DaVinci Resolve? If there are other videos you want to see about how to use DaVinci Resolve, let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you want to see all the other videos we have related to video editing, I'll link to the playlist right here. If you're looking to grow on YouTube, we also have a playlist with tons of videos. I'll link to those right here. Hope to see you in future videos. Bye-bye.